Do you believe that miracles still happen today? The story I am about to tell you will touch your heart deeply and renew your faith. In a small parish in the countryside, a faithful devotee of Our Lady witnessed, without expecting it, a grand event that transformed his life and surprised the entire community. What was supposed to be just another ordinary day of prayer became an unforgettable moment of grace, generating unexpected consequences for everyone around him. Before we dive into this moving story, write in the comments the name of someone who needs prayer. We want to include these special people in our rosary and form a great chain of faith and intercession. Miguel was a simple and humble man, known by everyone in the parish for his unwavering faith and generous heart. A resident of the neighborhood for decades, he had served as a volunteer at the church since his youth. Every morning, very early, Miguel would open the doors of the chapel for the first Mass, and at dusk he was always the last to leave, after silently arranging the pews and turning off the lights. His devotion to Our Lady was ingrained in him. As a child, his mother taught him to pray the rosary every night before going to sleep. Throughout his life, he faced great challenges, including the loss of his beloved wife. But he never lost heart, because he found comfort in his faith. In his most difficult moments, Miguel would kneel before the image of Mary in the empty church, shedding tears and praying at the feet of the Blessed Mother. He firmly believed that Our Lady was listening to him and interceding for him, and this certainty gave him the strength to continue, day after day, with humility and hope. On one of those quiet nights, after Mass, Miguel decided to stay a little longer in the church to finish his volunteer work. The dim light of the stained glass windows was already covering the altar, and a sacred silence reigned in the room. Before closing the doors, he felt in his heart the desire to pray once more. He knelt before the image of Our Lady illuminated by the soft light of the candles, bringing with him the worries of the day. On that particular night, Miguel prayed fervently for his son, who had been away from church and family for some time. With the rosary intertwined in his work-worn fingers, he asked the Virgin Mary to touch the young man's heart and bring him back to the path of faith. Each Hail Mary was prayed with fervor and sincerity, while a few discreet tears rolled down Miguel's tired face. As he finished the last decade of the rosary, a different feeling enveloped the place. A deep peace took hold of his chest, and a soft, inexplicable scent of roses spread through the silent air of the church. Miguel found the sudden scent strange and slowly opened his eyes, still on his knees. His heart raced as he looked up at the image of Our Lady on the altar. To his surprise, he saw something that took his breath away. A glistening tear was running down the eye of the statue of Mary. For a moment, he thought he was imagining things. He blinked his eyes, tried to compose himself, but the vision remained. The saint really did seem to be crying. He felt his legs tremble and had to lean on the nearest bench, overcome by a mixture of astonishment and reverence. "Am I seeing correctly?" he whispered to himself, his voice trembling. At that moment, another tear formed in the other eye of the image and slowly ran down the stone face of the Virgin, shining in the dim light. Miguel put his hands to his mouth in shock, and his heart filled with even greater love and devotion. With tears now streaming from his own eyes, he approached with hesitant steps until he was right in front of the altar. Trembling, he reached out his hand and gently touched the face of the statue, feeling the wetness of the holy tear on his fingertips. Deep inside, a soft voice seemed to whisper in his heart, as if Our Lady herself was telling him not to fear, that she would accept his prayers. Miguel could barely contain his emotion. Right there, prostrated on the cold floor of the church, he wept with joy and gratitude. Amidst his sobs, he thanked God and Mary for having allowed him, such a simple servant, to witness such grace. At that sacred moment, Miguel had no idea of the profound changes that this miracle would bring to his life and to everyone around him. The next day, at sunrise, Miguel was overcome by an irrepressible urge to share what had happened with the parish priest. His heart still racing and his eyes shining, he knocked on the door of the parish house and was greeted by Father Antonio, to whom he told every detail of that miraculous experience. The priest listened attentively, initially surprised and even a little skeptical. After all, it's not every day that you hear about a statue that cries. But he had known Miguel for years and knew of his integrity, humility, and deep faith. Seeing the sincerity in the volunteer's teary eyes and hearing the genuine emotion in his voice, the priest had no reason to doubt. Together, they went to the church, which was still empty that morning. They approached the image of Our Lady on the altar in silence. They were both surprised to notice that there was a small dry mark at the base of the statue, as if someone had recently spilled a few drops of water there. For Miguel, this was confirmation of what he had seen. For Father Antonio, it was enough to make him believe that something truly extraordinary had happened in that sacred place. The news of the miracle began to spread discreetly among the members of the church. First, Miguel told a couple of catechists who were closest to him, who were astonished and moved. Soon, like a whisper of hope spreading from mouth to mouth, the entire community was talking about Our Lady's tears. The reaction was immediate. People who had long been away from the life of the parish felt drawn to return, moved by curiosity and the invisible touch of grace. That same week, the faithful spontaneously organized a rosary every night before the image of Mary. Each day, more people showed up to pray. Entire families, young and old, some neighbors from nearby neighborhoods who had heard the story and wanted to participate. There was a different mood in the air, a mix of respect, expectation, and fervent devotion. Miguel, with all his humility, did not want to be the center of attention. He sat in the back pews, discreetly, with his rosary in hand, happy to see so many hearts turning to God. Even so, many parishioners made a point of shaking his hand and asking him to tell them once again what he had witnessed. And every time Miguel recounted that moment, the soft light, the scent of roses, the sight of tears, his eyes would fill with tears again and his voice would break, infecting those who listened with emotion. Each story strengthened the faith of the community and made many people pray sincerely, reflecting on the miracles in their lives. Among the most unexpected fruits of that event was the change in the heart of Miguel's own son. Upon learning from acquaintances what had happened in his father's church, the young man felt something break inside him. All the indifference he had carried for years gave way to deep longing and regret. A few days later, during the evening rosary, Miguel was startled to see his son entering through the church door. The young man had tears in his eyes and, without hesitation, ran to hug his father in front of everyone. Crying, he asked for forgiveness for having distanced himself from his family and from God. It was a moment of great emotion. Father and son reconciled, united by faith before the image of Our Lady. The faithful who witnessed that scene applauded and praised God in gratitude. That initial miracle not only filled hearts with grace, but also restored broken bonds and rekindled hope among so many people in the community. Miguel's story makes us reflect on how God acts in our daily lives, often silently and unexpectedly. Not all of us will witness a visible miracle like the one that happened in that parish, but that doesn't mean miracles don't happen. Sometimes the greatest miracle is the transformation of a heart, the healing of an old hurt, or the strength to forgive someone who has hurt us. Prayer, especially the prayer of the Rosary, has an extraordinary power to open our hearts to these graces. When we dedicate ourselves to praying with faith, meditating on each mystery and placing our intentions in the hands of Our Lady, something changes within us. We may not see an image weep, but we feel peace flood our soul. Forgiveness becomes possible. Reconciliation occurs where there was once conflict. How many times have we come to Mary's feet in distress and left comforted, with new hope to face challenges? Just as Miguel's community came together and grew stronger after witnessing that divine sign, we too can experience true miracles in our daily lives. In family unity, in overcoming an illness, in the conversion of someone we love, if we persevere in faith and prayer. So, don't forget to believe in the power of Our Lady's intercession. Leave the names of people who need prayer in the comments below. Let's form a great chain of faith, praying for one another, trusting that God hears our cries and that Mary, our loving Mother, takes our supplications to Him. Through sincere prayer, we find forgiveness, inner peace and paths of conversion that we perhaps never imagined possible. That miraculous event left its mark on the life of Miguel's parish forever. The community was never the same again. The masses were fuller, the prayer circles more fervent, and many hearts that were previously cold were rekindled in devotion. Miguel continued his mission of serving and loving others, even stronger in his faith. Now with the joy of having his son by his side in the church pews every Sunday. The image of Our Lady remained serene on her altar. She did not shed tears again, but there was no need to. The vivid memory of that extraordinary day was enough to fill the eyes of those who were discouraged with hope and renew everyone's confidence in the power of God. Nowadays, amidst so much rush and uncertainty, stories like Miguel's show us that faith and devotion to Our Lady continue to be a powerful light on our path. They remind us that God's love and Mary's care are present, even when we cannot see them, guiding and protecting us. And you, what did you think of this moving story? Do you believe that miracles like this can happen all around us? Leave your opinion in the comments or even a testimony of faith that you would like to share. If this message touched your heart, like the video and subscribe to the channel to follow more inspiring stories of faith and devotion. In this way, you help us spread the word and keep the flame of hope alive. Thank you very much for being with us this far. May God bless you, and may Our Lady cover you with her mantle of love. Until next time.